All right, everybody, and welcome back to Show Choir Nation, the flagship podcast of the Homeroom Show Choir Podcast Network. I'm your host, William. Alongside me is my co-host, Ethan, and below me is our guest host for tonight, Kortney. Kortney, how are you doing?
Good. How are you?
I am doing great. Ethan and I had quite the adventure on Saturday in El Paso, Illinois, not El Paso,
Yeah.
Texas, which we'll get to talking about Texas in a little bit. But certainly, I may not be reeling today, but I was probably like 90 or 95%, maybe not 100%. Ethan, where would you put yourself at today?
Kind of same. Today was a good recovery day, an extra recovery day. Gotten a lot of other work done I need to get done that should have been probably done maybe a day before this. So, but grinding away at it, trying to catch back up on other worldly things that aren't show choir. So, excited for this hour though, because once you're at a competition, you kind of get stuck in that bubble, and I kind of felt like I kind of lost track of maybe some things that happened this weekend across the country. So. This will be a good reminder for me because I'm a really big just skims guy. I just skim through what happened and rely on everyone else to tell me what happened. So this will be fun recapping.
Yeah, I think specifically in the case of you and I, like we were just absolutely dead in the water most of Saturday. Like that gym, like sauna, probably more people in that gym than live in the town of El Paso. I walk out of there. I walk into Casey's. Like that Casey's was like the only thing open because prelim awards ended at 8:45.
They're making
that Casey's was the only thing open. I saw Wheaton parents there. I saw so many people there, just trying to survive and get back out in the open.
Yep.
So, with that being said, we will jump right into what happened all across the country this past weekend. We'll start with a couple competitions in Indiana. The Franklin Central Hoosier Show Choir Classic. The results of this one: Center Grove Sound System, Grand Champion, Best Vocals and Best Choreography. Carmel Ambassadors, second. Fisher's Electrum, third. Waltham Music Unlimited, fourth with Best Band. And Troy Buchanan Express in fifth. In the women's division, Center Grove Debtones taking home Best Vocals and the win. Fisher Sound, second. Carmel Accents, third with both choreography and band. Roncalli Royal Rhapsody and Pendleton Heights Emerald Suites won their respective small divisions on Friday nights. Ethan, I'm going to toss this one to you. Center Grove has now cleared Franklin Central. They've cleared Carmel. They've cleared Fishers. They haven't matched up with Zionsville yet, but they've cleared North Central. Is Center Grove on track for another undefeated season this year?
Yeah, most likely. They're going to nationals, right?
Heart of America, Los Angeles.
Thank
Carmel
you.
is going to nationals.
You're right. So, however, going that long trip will be kind of a tough task. However, it's certainly looking that way. Once you knock out your state, like the way that they have, besides Zionsville, of course, it's kind of looking like it's going to be one of those magical seasons. You were lucky enough to see the show, actually, both of these shows in Carmel and Center Grove. So you're one of the lucky few who aren't from the state who've seen both shows. So that's kind of cool on your behalf. Carmel, like I said, they're an amazing program, amazing show choir. So to be able to top them out the gate in your first appearance between these two choirs, like matching up, is huge. Fisher's Electrum is kind of been a little joy to see climb the ranks lately. We were told to watch out for Fisher's Electrum. They are really proving it this year after beating probably the best group in Troy Buchanan in Missouri and probably the best group in the Northeast right now in Waltham. It feels like forever ago, but they did beat Daniel Hand and South Windsor already. So yeah, I guess you can just give them that title as of right now. And then, of course, the treble finals, what a bloodbath. What a bloodbath in the treble finals. With Center Grove was best vocals, best show design, and then best choreography going to third place to Carmel Accents. And then Fisher's in the middle, but it's like Tupelo was there. Tupelo is regarded as one of the best, almost honestly, best groups of the South overall. They just are. So the fact that they didn't make finals here just is a testament to how strong these Indianapolis choirs are.
Absolutely. Real quick, I just want to touch on kind of what you said. And, I don't know if I got into it yesterday with someone about Tupelo, but, just kind of taking observations from what happened there. I said, Tupelo was a great show on Saturday. They were just outclassed and they simply weren't finals material. With the caveat of they are still absolutely a top 10 group in the South. I think a lot of people would have them at maybe 7 or 8 right now. They are still a top 10 girls group in the country. They just so happen to run into 3 of the 9 that are better than them on Saturday. Yeah. Like, these 3 groups are the consensus number 1, number 2, and number 3 girls groups in Indiana. And I think what a lot of people from outside Indiana don't realize is that if Tupelo is able to upset literally any of those 3 groups, it would have been just so monumental. And so I have to applaud Tupelo for doing this the same way that I applaud Glenwood for coming out and missing finals, the same way I applaud Newcastle for jumping into large mixed when that's usually been a small mixed group as of late, although they do kind of float a little bit. I do have to commend all of these groups for coming out and knowing the depth of the competitive field and still going there.
Mm-hmm.
We are going to head just a bit north in Indiana to Fort Wayne for the Homestead. I forgot the name of this comp. Anyways, for the Homestead competition, Solon Music in Motion caps off an undefeated season with vocals and band tied for vocals. And the win, Lafayette Jefferson, first edition, tied for vocals and second. Carroll Magic, best choreo in third. Noblesville NHS Singers in fourth, and Huntington North Varsity Singers in fifth. Women's finals, Brownsburg with a no caption win. Noblesville in second with vocals and band. Carroll in third with choreo. Small mixed finals, Churubusco with a sweep, followed by Anderson, Columbia City, Edgewood, Ohio, Corliers, Jay County, and Garrett. A couple of hits from this one. Homestead did captions based off prelim scores, so perhaps that would explain a tie in vocals, and Brownsburg taking a no caption win in finals. Also, Brownsburg wins the women's division, but misses the 5-group mixed finals. Solon undefeated. Lafayette Jefferson still hasn't lost vocals yet this year. So many places to go. I'll open this one up to either of you. What is the biggest storyline of the takeaways?
I would say Brownsburg missing for the first time since 2016. They've been in finals repeatedly since then. So I think that's probably the biggest takeaway is they didn't make top 5.
Mm-hmm.
For sure. Obviously, they had that finals miss at Show Choir Nationals last spring. But if you look at, score-wise, if they should have been in or not, yeah, like you said, it's been since 2016 for Brownsburg, and their program has grown a lot since then. And just the sheer difference in on top of the women's division, not making mixed finals. Those rehearsals have got to be interesting this week. And I've talked to their director, Chad Strausser, before, great guy, and I know that they'll rebound very well from this. Ethan, what are you taking away?
A few things. Just looking at the top couple spots, since we touched on Brownsburg already. I'm not a Solon historian. Could this possibly be their first undefeated season?
Let me run a quick spot check on that.
While you do that,
I'll get back to you.
Yeah, I'll just keep rambling. However, regardless, I personally don't remember a season of at least I know of Solon doing something like this. So they deserve a lot of props. Something that really jumps off the page to me though is Lafayette Jefferson. This is a show I feel like I have to see now. Winning best show design here and with the best vocals tie in prelim after just beating Wheaton North at Naperville North a week ago. They're clearly a group that is just doing the best right now. They are on fire. Michael says 2012 they went undefeated. Solon.
I was just about to say that.
He beat you to the punch.
I know. Solon's undefeated streak that year started at Piqua. Vocals choreo band went to Marysville, which was in January at that time. Yeah. Vocals choreo band. Cuyahoga Falls lost vocals and choreo. So Cuyahoga Falls doesn't even have a show choir anymore. Lost vocals and choreo to Hurricane. Took the win with just band. Ooh. Twinsburg vocals and band. Tees Valley vocals, choreo, and band. So last time Solon was undefeated.
So it's been a bit for them. So this is amazing for them. Touching again on Lafayette Jefferson, huge outing with getting or tying best vocals in prelims, and then winning best show design here, especially after I saw Carol's performance at Chesterton. I knew Carol would probably be top 3 here. I thought they had a chance at possibly a win. I know Solon's on a tear. Them winning best choreography is kind of like a little surprise to me because they must have stepped it up huge time. And that also is just props to Solon and Lafayette Jefferson for just coming out vocally, because Carol has amazing pipes. They really do, at least at Chesterton when I saw them. That top 3 had to be tight, let alone the top 5, 6. So, yeah, those are just some of the things that jump out to me.
For sure. Just kind of putting a bow on this one, I do really appreciate the fact that when you look at how the rest of Indiana goes as comparison to Indianapolis, kind of your measuring sticks here were Brownsburg and Noblesville. And a lot of people, Brownsburg, this was their debut competition. A lot of people at Brownsburg floating somewhere in that 7 to 9 range for choirs within the Indianapolis Metro. And then you had Noblesville, who a lot of people had maybe in that 10 to 12 range. So you had a couple of good, maybe not elite Indianapolis groups, but still very solid Indianapolis groups there. And those groups wound up placing 4th and not making finals. And so obviously Solon at the top of their game in Ohio. Then also Lafayette Jefferson, who, in John Satterfield's last years were not that successful. And even going back to some of the Vertus Linkard years were not that successful. You really would have to go back to the 90s to find the last time that Jeff was really on a tear. And Carroll as well, I think they just had a bit of a down year last year, but they have just absolutely come out swinging this year. And kind of seeing Indiana show choir as a whole grow instead of just Indianapolis. Obviously, that's where most of the choirs are, but having Lafayette Jefferson be good is really good for the state. Having Carroll be good is really good for the state. And if you could piece that together with a good Homestead season and a good Northrop season, then you have 3 dangerous Fort Wayne choirs. Chesterton from the northwest part of the state being good, that's good for the state. Here's that Castle out of Evansville is good. That's good for the state as well. And so I really kind of looking big picture here. I think it's phenomenal that a lot of these programs are stepping up to meet the big Indianapolis programs where they're at. We're going to go to Minnesota now for the Hastings Swinging on the River competition. This one was taken by Millard West, West in the Groove, best choreography and best band. West Side ATSC with best vocals and second. Papillion La Vista South Titanium in third. Bloomington Kennedy Rhythm and Gold in fourth. Bloomington Jefferson Connection in fifth. And Bemidji Vocal Motive in sixth. Again, I'll open this one up to either of you. Plenty of stories here, but I think the top 3 are probably going to draw most of the talk.
Yeah, for sure. The thing that just jumps off to me, of course, are just best vocals going to second to West Side and them getting second place with best vocals. Usually if West Side wins best vocals, that means they're coming away with a win. So the fact that Millard West was able to dance that well and have vocals that matched with West Side that like that in their band to be able to get this win is massive. A lot of people, they say it's show choir. The choir part is a huge part, but the show part does matter. I mean, it's the reason why it's 2 words, right? Papillion La Vista South, this is a good placement for them. They could have came in here and shocked a lot of people. They stood right where I thought they would probably be in this competition against some of these massive choirs. Bloomington Kennedy coming out in third runner-up, 4th place is also huge. Indigo Gabriel, what a name. And I've never heard someone be called Indigo before. So shout out Indigo Gabriel on their best soloist award. And then Bemidji rounding it out. This is a choir that I think has gotten better from the past couple of years. So to seeing them also in the finals mix is a good sign. Yeah, this is a tough competition and definitely one I wish I could have saw live.
Absolutely. Kortney, anything you want to toss in here?
No, he kind of touched on everything. Bloomington obviously had a good run for that competition, placing 4th. For some reason, my predictions, I had them a little higher, but obviously it's a hard competition. You have those tough groups coming in and out. So,
for sure. Michael says first win for WIG over ATSC since 2018. Yeah, that is something that I probably should have put on the show sheet so that one of us could have said that. But, maybe I was a little off my game in prep. Yeah, I think the other thing this goes to show is that people go on runs, right? All throughout the month of January, Westside was the choir that we were talking about. One at Onalaska, one at Blue Valley, one at, where was their third win? It was at Millard West. Yeah, over Brandon. And we're like, wow, like Doran Johnson, last dance, undefeated, all sweep season.
Yeah,
no one's ever going to take the captain from them. And people get hot. And Wig came out and they started their season at Omaha Westside. And they had a great battle with Mitchell, and they showed that they clearly came to play. They only got more testing last weekend at Urbandale, where they were fourth, which was their lowest placement since before the pandemic. And then they stormed right back, was to beat ATSC at Hastings. ATSC has one more competition left. That will be at Wheaton Warrenville South in a few weeks. I'm not sure off the top of my head where Wig is going for the rest of the season. I believe they have one, maybe two left. But regardless, just huge matchup. And also, you just got to feel for the Minnesota choirs, because honestly, Hastings and Totino are great national events every year. But as the last two events of the Minnesota season, the Minnesota groups, like their time to shine for the season, literally runs Bloomington Kennedy, North St. Paul, Waconia. Those are the only three comps that generally are not dominated by out-of-state groups. And even sometimes Bloomington Kennedy is, like we saw this year. So, you really got to do a lot to make yourself stand out in Minnesota. We're going to go to the Omaha South Classic, the furthest west competition of the week this past week. The results of this one: Johnston Innovation taking home all three major captions and the grand championship. Pius the 10th Spectrum taking home second place. Millard North Infinity third place. Grand Island Ultimate Image fourth place. Sioux Falls Roosevelt Executive Session fifth place. Keller Blue Lights sixth place. Ethan, I will toss this one to you first. Out of the six finalists, which one stands out to you?
Oh, I mean, in different ways, multiple groups stand out to me. I mean, I guess the one that stands out to me the most has to be Pius in the two spot. I thought Millard North would come in hot right off of their great Chesterton finals appearance. That bloodbath that was. And plus, I really liked the show when I seen it. Except Pius is a dog. They are a dog choir, and they will keep fighting until the very end. People in the comments saying that we were sleeping on Pius in our predictions. I never want my predictions posted. I don't know why that graphic came up. I never want my predictions posted, but they're posted. Yeah, I
Weren't
guess
you the one who pressed post on that post?
Yeah, but I didn't look at I didn't look at the graphics. I didn't look at there, right? For example, like we misspelled Fishers, and then I was like, oh, I didn't even notice, and I just deleted them. So, but yeah, I was like, man, why are my predictions on here? Okay, you know what? That's fine. Whatever. And then I get called out for sleeping on Pius. My bad. Anyhow, Millard North, an amazing choir. Lucky to see them live. I just feel like this region is just so unknowing, because Grand Island Senior Ultimate Image has had some amazing outings this season, beating some choirs that are big, coming up hot. And then you throw in Keller Blue Lights, which I know Kortney will talk about in a little bit. Winning Best Ballad here is huge. It is actually huge, especially against a group like Johnson Innovation. Yeah, that's just kind of what I'm taking from this competition. It's one of those competitions that's local, but then you throw in a choir like Keller Blue Lights in here, and you never really know how it's going to go. And I mean, even though Keller did get 6, they threw a punch for sure.
So not only did they take Best Ballad, they also got Best Female Soloist, Ren. So that's also huge for a competition at the Omaha South level. I also want to mention their all treble group, Lumina. They placed second in their second ever competition after taking grand champs of the prep division last weekend at Cowtown. So that's also huge for them. They have like this cool, I always forget the movie's name. It's I can't remember it. It's a baseball show, but it's the girls' baseball movie.
A League of Our Own.
Yes, A League of Their Own. It is a League of Their Own based show, and I absolutely love it. I don't know if you've seen Jenks girls group, Trojan Spirit, but they do the same thing with the golf clubs that Lumina does with the baseball bats. So I think that's kind of a cool little parallel. So yeah, we took home Best Ballad and Best Soloist. Texas groups have always placed either 6th or 5th at this competition. Southwest Effect has been had competed at Omaha South in 2024 and 2023, I believe, and placed 5th and 6th. So going up against Johnson Pius and Millard North, I obviously had Johnson Pius and Millard in my top 3, but Blue Lights set this year is, I don't know if you guys have seen it, it is giving California level in technicality and vocals and just the way that they present themselves on stage. Multiple people have compared it to a either Midwest show or like a California-esque show. So I definitely placed them in top 4, but they were top 4 going into finals. So something happened or somebody else stepped up their game, whatever it was. They obviously performed great, and the whole Texas community is so proud of them this week.
Absolutely. And we'll get to talking a lot more about Texas just as soon as we wrap up talking about this competition. A few of the things that I want to say, number one, just for a little bit more of a traveling flair, I really do have to shout out Sioux Falls Roosevelt. This is a group that missed finals at their first 2 competitions of the year, and especially they were right in that top 3 in South Dakota conversation last year, along with Mitchell and Aberdeen. And they kind of took the early season on the chin, but they rebounded nicely. They wound up being 2nd place at Sioux Falls, Washington, and now they not only make finals, but place decently well in finals. So their season will continue to turn around when they most likely take home the Grand Championship at Emmitsburg on March 8th. But also Millard North as well, phenomenal. Grand Island, shout out to our guy Grady Breezenhand over at Grand Island. He's a real one. Also, for the record, if Pius has no fans, then that means I am dead, because I will never be accused of sleeping on Pius. I will never be accused of not being a Pius fan. Pius is one of those groups that I just kind of looked at in high school, being 600 miles away in Wisconsin. I'm like, Spectrum, like only Ankeny Centennial has that name too, and they're doing pretty decent. And then they've just gotten so much better in these past few years. And Edgar Estrada has done great things there. And Braxton Carr has done great things there. And just the level that they are growing at, and the fact that they have asserted themselves as a top 10 group in Nebraska in these past couple of years, in a scene that is just so crowded, as we've talked about so many times on the podcast this year. I don't know if we're going to be talking about Pius again, maybe the week of Millard North, but if this is the last time that we talk about Pius this year, I just have to say it's been another great season for Spectrum so far. Emma Asmus has 3 Best Soloist awards. She's gone on a clean sweep so far. So, I just want to shout out Pius there as well. I'll come off my soapbox a little bit here. As we move into the bridge segment, which is usually where we spotlight the guest, and this week will be no different. We have Kortney on because Texas is absolutely exploding this year. There is so much going on, and she has been around the Texas scene for a long time. We're not going to say exactly how many years, because we're sensitive about that around here. But Texas, there are 2 new competitions in Texas this year, so they went from 4 to 6, which is a huge increase. There are new groups. There are new directors at new groups. There are changes all over the place. So, Kortney, I think just kind of first off, how has this early season gone for Texas Show Choir?
The season has honestly been shocking in so many ways already. We have new groups stepping up to the plate and taking grand champions that some groups would have never thought they would have made this much of an improvement over just a year. We have Pantheon, who took grand champion at NTSCI, which is North Texas Show Choir Invitational, hosted by Legacy. They took grand champion, best vocals, and best choreography, which is an outstanding accomplishment. I think they've only placed 3rd and 4th in their previous years, so they've kind of been on the come up. We have Blue Lights, obviously competing out of state for one of the first times, and they placed 6th, like we mentioned earlier, but still just getting out of the Texas realm is so rare for these groups. They typically like to stay in their little circle, which is also why these new competitions are huge, because it's bringing new groups in, as you mentioned, and giving people more variety of places to go. Recently, LD Bell just hosted their inaugural competition this Saturday. It was a jam-packed day, but it was so worth it. We didn't even hit capacity in the auditorium, so they still have room for growth with I think it ended up being 17 groups attending, and there was still room for growth. 3, I think it was both the Broken Arrow middle schools, and then there was Patriot Singers from East Newton. They all canceled due to weather, but I think even with those 3 groups in attendance, we still would have room for growth there. Jenks took grand champions and best vocals. Southwest Effect, a group that I've been following for a while, got second place, which is a huge step up for them as well, and took home best choreography. So we have a lot of great new things going.
Absolutely. And that is one of the things that I wanted to kind of touch on, is that, we have several changes. Like I would say we have new groups like Melissa Scarlet Soundwave,
Yes.
which just debuted this past weekend. We have groups that are really expanding their competition slate. We have Koppel Vivace, which only competed once last year. They've competed twice so far this year, and they've placed both times. We have new directors at places like Nick Shabit at Burleson Centennial, Crystal Hicks at Keller Central. Just what change to you has been the most impactful, and why has it been so impactful so far this season?
I feel like the director changes haven't been as big of a change as we thought they were going to be towards the beginning of the year. Obviously, Crystal Hicks came in right at the beginning of the school year, so we thought it was going to be a little rocky. But she has done amazing adapting. VOC loves her, and so do all the other directors I've talked to. She's super easy. I had the chance to meet her this weekend. She's super easygoing, super nice. I think she'll do great things with this program and kind of keep it on the up and up. With Nick Chabot, he's actually bringing Centennial out of state this year. They will be competing at Brandon Brio, which is exciting because I feel like that's a competition that no Texas group has had a chance to sit down in yet. With LD
It's only
Bell,
ever happened once before. So
at Brandon?
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't know.
So they are getting in on it early in the run, assuming it goes on for a while.
I hope so. With LD Bell bringing down Jenks, I feel like that was a huge, not a shock, but it needed to happen for this Texas groups to see what they can become if they put in the work and keep like the momentum going with the seasons. Everybody, when I looked around the auditorium, was in shock of what Jenks was able to produce on that stage this weekend. And I think it's a real lit a fire. So to keep them motivated. But I also fell in love with Melissa's set, and I have a feeling that they're going to be a top contender in the next few years for being a first-year show choir, having the band, having a set, having a pretty nice theme. It was Moulin Rouge, and I know, and being able to contribute such awesome vocals. I know they didn't get finals, but they're going to be a top contender, especially going into the next few competitions.
For sure. I think one thing that's interesting about Melissa is that their director used to direct show choir in Illinois, actually.
Yes.
Probably less than 10 miles from where I am right now. So perhaps we'll see kind of that Midwest flair to it a little bit. We do have a question from Michael. How has SLC done since their inception? So South Lake Carroll's show choir, what's the read on them?
I haven't seen them since Cowtown, which was the first competition of the year. So a few weeks back for me, but Jen Randall brought them to an out-of-state competition last year at the end of the year, which I know you knew, but I had no idea. Still mad at you for not telling me. But I know.
It was right there on the results page for their choir last year.
But I don't know how I missed it. But I think that honestly gave them such a step ahead for this season. They are much more vocally sound. They have a lot more. Their stage presence is bolder. They're more confident. I feel like just getting them out of their comfort zone and giving them the opportunity to sit and see groups and compete against groups that you never would have thought they would have ever seen in person. Like, it's Jen Randall's bringing the Midwest down to Texas. Let's just say that, because it was giving. Oh my gosh, I always forget their name, but I was talking about them earlier. I don't know. There was a set and it was giving that, and I loved every second of it because it's Jen Randall. I mean, she's hosting her first ever, well, not first, but she's hosting a competition this year. I think SLC will be another top contender very soon.
Wonderful. And kind of it all ties back, when we talk about more competitions, then all of a sudden it allows more groups to become top contenders, right? Because instead of there only being 3 or 4 wins to go around per season, there are 6 wins. And, who knows if you don't currently host right now, the getting is getting very good to host. So Killer Blue Lights, wink, wink, maybe Fossil Ridge, wink, wink. We here at Homeroom Show Choir encourage very many new competitions. And of course, groups are traveling. You mentioned Burleson Centennial is going to Brandon. Burleson Breakaway is also going to Brandon as well. So we're going to have a pair of Burleson groups at the Brandon Show Choir Elite. Apparently, I didn't tell you that either, and now I feel really bad.
Thanks.
So anyways, with all of this happening and in our last couple minutes of this segment here, who are like a couple groups that if people are not from Texas and they're looking for maybe a couple shows to watch or a couple perhaps groups to follow throughout the rest of the season and into next season, who are a couple of names that people should be looking out for?
Definitely Southwest Effect. They've been on the come up for the past few seasons. It's been a pretty gradual incline, but this season they've hit it off with a voodoo set that is like nothing we've ever seen before in Texas Show Choir, and I think it really catches judges' attention more. Obviously, Blue Lights, they're amazing. They're so strong in both choreography. They're choreographed by Dalton Myatt, and then obviously their director Zach Steele is incredible. They are incredible people. They know how to keep your attention on stage, which I think is very important lately. Some groups don't know how to do that anymore, and that happens. You lose your spark sometimes. And then obviously Pantheon with coming up, they have this amazing Orpheus Under the Sea set this year that obviously won best vocals and best choreography, and I think they're going to keep that climb coming.
Awesome.
Nice.
Well, that is just about a wrap on our Texas segment. Ethan, I'm so sorry. I don't think you said a word during that whole thing.
No, but can I say something real fast? There's one quick stupid question.
No, not allowed.
You asked all the good ones. I'll just ask a fun one. Texas is all about growth right now. Everything's bigger in Texas. We know how big some of these schools are. Have you thought of like one school that you would just love to see a show choir there? Like hypothetically, like if they could get a show choir, any school in Texas, what school would you choose?
Oh my gosh.
It's okay if you don't know one. I mean, one off the top of my head, I know Allen Texas High School is a
Allen would be insane. There was also a new high school built a year or two ago that Scott Tilley is now at, and he is going to be starting a competitive show choir sometime soon. So, I mean, that's kind of already in the works, but I feel like his direction plus the like area, it's kind of a school like Allen. Like they have that big stadium. I don't know, it's brand new. But I feel like starting either there or another one in the South. I feel like the South, we only really have Texas City, Rouse, and then Glenn, which just started this year. So seeing another one in that would also grow the competition of the Rouse Capital City Showcase. So maybe something down there, but I don't have a specific school.
Nice.
Absolutely. Honestly, that's what I was going to say. For a while, Southlake was my big one because that was the high school football team that you saw playing on ESPN or ESPN2 on those Friday nights before your own high school football season started, at least up here in the Midwest. But if I had to pick, again, I would agree with you that we need more Austin area groups. I think maybe someone out of San Antonio or Houston as well would be phenomenal. And also ACDA is in Dallas this year, and John Burroughs Powerhouse is performing. So there is a non-zero chance that multiple dozens of choir directors walk away after that and be like, we need to start doing that now. So looping back to earlier, directors, the Getting is very good to host a new event for next year. You may have too many choirs signing up. We don't know, but you might. So with that being said, we are going to run into our comps of the week for this upcoming weekend. We are getting into the home stretch for most seasons, either the end of the season or 1 or 2 weeks left for a lot of these groups. When will comps of the week recap be out? Boy, that is a really, really good question. Within 24 hours, we're going to go with that. People have got to stop putting questions on the board. That's my job as producer.
No,
We're going to
sorry,
have a
sorry,
discussion
sorry.
after the show.
Sorry.
I'm
Wait,
not saying which one of you two did it, but
out? Did you ever get comps of the week out?
no, because El Paso didn't have Wi-Fi.
Oh, you were going to do it at El Paso?
Dude, I fell asleep at 8 p.m. on Friday night.
Oh, man.
I was toast on Friday night.
I didn't know that. My bad.
I had my pasta for dinner, and then I just fell asleep on the couch.
That's why I had to put it on screen, because I was like, when's it going to be out? Recap.
Anyways,
My apologies.
we got the Norris Fields of Talent event in Firth, Nebraska, literally in the middle of fields. Their school is not even in a city. In the mixed division, Gretna Revolution, Gretna East Equinox, Urbandale Studio, Lincoln East Express, Grand Island Northwest 14 Karat Gold. In small mixed, Seward, Plattsmouth, and Harrisonville. A couple groups in the women's and prep divisions as well. Ethan, we have talked so much about Nebraska this year. The season culminates in Gretna, Gretna East, Lincoln East, and Grand Island Northwest. 4 of the top 7 groups in our poll rankings right now, all facing off. You throw Urbandale in there. Now, you have seen Urbandale's show this year. What happens?
We are in for a treat. This is a nice little treat we're gonna have here. Yeah, some of these choirs have faced off against each other already. Seeing the Gretna East versus Gretna battle is gonna be awesome. It just is. It is what it is. I honestly, just looking at this lineup, I think anyone can possibly just come out and win this. Besides maybe the group that grabs the last second 6th spot, which I think it might be Gretna Evolution with how hot they have been. Another thing is like Grand Island Northwest already beat Lincoln East, and I know Lincoln East, according to the show sheet, shout out Will, has won this competition 4 years in a row now. Is that right, Will?
That is correct. 2020, 2022, 2023, and 2024.
Wow. So I mean, that's an impressive run. However, I think that they are just gonna, like, in my head, they're just gonna get the ladder of the prediction lower on the list just because of the already placement higher or lower than Grand Island Northwest. The top 2 spots, man, it's gonna be special. Honestly, 3. I think Urbandale can come out, and they love putting on a show. They absolutely put on one of the best shows. Home Alone is such a fun, prop filled, you don't know where it's going to go next, but you do, because if you've seen the movie, who hasn't, you know where the show's going to go. They do a great job with it. I just think that there is 4, 5, possibly even 6 amazing shows that are going to be on stage this weekend. And I honestly, Harrisonville. Sorry, I said Harrisonburg because that's a town around here. My bad. Hand up. Harrisonville is one of my favorite choirs in Missouri. So they could definitely make a spot jump into finals here. Off rip, I'm going to go Gretna Revolution, not Evolution, Revolution at the 1. But who knows? Gretna East at the 2. I'm going to follow suit and go Urbandale at the 3. However, I could see them taking a 2 spot. I think Gretna East has been on fire lately, and their vocals are just so good. I'm going to go 14 Karat Gold in the 4, Lincoln East in the 5, and then I'm going to have Gretna rounded out Evolution. That's 6. So.
All right. Kortney, do you even want to take a stab at this one? It's fun if you don't.
Not this one. We'll go. Not this one.
Yeah, this one is just such a super interesting case because we saw a very similar powerful Iowa choir come last year in Ankeny Centennial, and they came out on the losing end of a split caption battle. Centennial took choreography and Lincoln East took vocals en route to the win. So obviously I'm not saying that these are the same 2 shows, Ankeny Centennial 2024 and Urbandale 2025. Just kind of curious, to see where things shake out a little bit. Another thing that I want to bring to mind here is that Gretna East has not competed since February 1st. They hosted on February 15th, but that has been February 8th, February 15th, and February 22nd without seeing a stage, getting judged in relation to other choirs. Will that impact them? I don't know. It's certainly one of the longer gaps in a competition schedule. They definitely hit it hard 3 straight weeks early in the season. I think that might come into play as well. As for what I think is going to happen here. Yeah. I'm still making up my mind as we speak. So, for all of you out here who clip the show and use it for whatever, these are
a little buffer.
I'm making them up as I go predictions. Give me Gretna, and then Gretna East, and then Urbandale, and then Lincoln East, and then Grand Island Northwest. I hate to go against the Dwight group, but I have to. And then give me Harrisonville in the 6. I think that this is one of the better years that Harrisonville is having. Harrisonville has not missed finals so far this year. They were first runner-up at their most recent competition. I think that they are due to continue their final streak here. Don't get me wrong, Gretna Evolution, phenomenal group as well. So we'll move a little bit to the east to Iowa. Liberty stormed the stage. The lineup for this one in the mixed division: Linn-Mar 10th Street Edition, Waukee Millennium, Cedar Rapids Kennedy Happiness Incorporated, Cedar Rapids Washington Momentum, Prairie Ambassadors, Bettendorf Surround Sound, Davenport West Connection, and Raymore Peculiar Rush. In the prep division: Waukee Spirit, Cedar Rapids Washington Celebration, Prairie Focal Point, and Davenport West Harmonics. We all know who the headliner is here, but also there are a lot of groups coming right after that.
Yeah, everyone is attending the Wibberty Bibberty storm the stage down 25. Yeah, this is actually a great competition, and
This is their first competition. Great lineup, and you're out here lampooning it like this.
Yeah, Wibberty Bibberty. They've heard that before. They definitely have. However, group that stands out to me is Waukee. Waukee, what a absolute season they are having. I believe they have a win in 2 seconds, and their last second place was one that is huge. It's just ginormous. Not a lot of people saw them snagging that 2 spot. So now, they have a chance to do something special this season. Is it enough to knock off Linn-Mar off rip? I don't think so, but everyone shares the same stage. Anything can happen. Prairie's having kind of a weird year. They're seemingly kind of like middle of the pack this year. So that's probably where I'm going to have them. Cedar Rapids Kennedy, I feel like they're just going to be battling for that 3 spot, 2 spot. If they can jump Waukee here, they definitely could. After that, it's kind of a bloodbath. Again, this is one of the competitions where this is going to be close, regardless of it's 5 through 6, 6 through 7, or 1 through 2. Unless Linn-Mar just absolutely blows everyone away, which very possible. If I'm taking a rip on this, I gotta go Linn-Mar on the 1. Can't go against it. Waukee at the 2. I'm just like Will. I'm buffering. I'm gonna go Cedar Rapids Kennedy at the 3. 4, I'm gonna go Prairie. 5, I'm gonna go Cedar Rapids Washington, and then in my last spot, I'm going to go Bettendorf. Why not? I'll just go Bettendorf. I feel like that's a choir that can make finals. That's it here. And I know that they're coming off a 4th place finish at Pella. Okay, I'm looking at it. I did not know that beforehand, but I know that 4th place finish at Pella. Kevin Chase group, they're going to be dancing well. I know they missed finals. They missed finals at Benton and Davenport North, but I know that those were good competitions. I don't know. Could they beat Waukee's prep group Spirit? They are a very good prep group. I feel like they're going to be the next one in line for this, but I'm going on a whim here. Let's go Bettendorf.
All right. Kortney, do you want to take a rip at this one?
Okay, let's go. I'm going to put Linn-Mar in 1. Linn-Mar's Linn-Mar. They have had my heart for the past few years. It's just everything about them. I love them. I'm going to go ahead and put Waukee in 2nd. I'll copy you on that. I feel like they're still in a solid season right now. Obviously, they've had a great year. Then I don't know. Let's go. I'll do flip-flop. I'll do Washington, CR Washington, and I'll do CR Kennedy. And then let's go Davenport West.
All right. Well, if that does happen, we will have to have you back on next week, because that is, it would be bonkers if Davenport West made finals here. That would be huge for them. Yeah, I don't know. Not a ton else that I want to say here besides, man, for a first-year event on a day where I think there are 7 different competitions in Iowa, I mean, this is a pretty phenomenal lineup.
Oh, yeah.
And I just have to shout out the people over at Liberty for jumping into what was already a crowded competition weekend. I'm like begging more Iowa groups to either host earlier or host later, because it feels like Iowa just gets jam-packed into like 5 or 6 weeks. Regardless of that, just so much going on here. Linmar, sweep, first place, everything, perfect score, all that. Waukee at the 2, Kennedy at the 3. Yeah, interesting battle between Prairie and Washington at the 4th. Washington, obviously, they missed finals earlier this year for the first time in forever. Prairie just lost to Des Moines Christian, which is an absolutely gobsmacking 2A choir. But regardless, I don't know if a lot of people had them losing to Des Moines Christian on their bingo card for this year. I think that'll be a really interesting battle for the 4 and 5. Ultimately, I will put Cedar Rapids, Washington momentum there at the 4. I will take Prairie at the 5. And I will also take Bettendorf at the 6th. You know, I saw Bettendorf last year at Fort Atkinson. They were a solid group. And I think they can take it here. Davenport West and Ray-Pec, I think, just have a bit too much ground to make up this late in the season to make finals. If any of the prep groups make finals, then watch out for their varsity group next year, because it will be a very well-earned finals berth. We'll go to the Totino-Grace Show Choir Spectacular in the Twin Cities reaches of Minnesota, 10 minutes down the road from a Raising Cane's. So if you don't want to wait in line for concessions, you know where to go. It is the Raising Cane's in, where did I go last year? Anyways, I was at this comp last year and I got Cane's for dinner. It was great. I forget what city it's in though. The lineup for this one in the large mixed division: Hastings Riverside Company, Broken Arrow Tiger Rhythm, Omaha South, the Ambassadors, Davenport North, Northside Establishment. I've now listed off 4 choirs from 4 different states: Bloomington Jefferson Connection, Bemidji Vocal Motive, North St. Paul Northern Lights, and Eau Claire North Northern Airs. Small mixed, Colby New Prague and Altoona. Women's, just an absolutely stacked 7-group division: Hastings, Broken Arrow, Omaha South, Davenport North, Bloomington Jefferson, Bemidji, and Aspire. So much going on here. I am reminded again of why Totino was a competition that I went to last year. It just continues to draw incredible lineups. 5 states represented in the large mixed division. Arguably groups that have been big risers in 4 of their scenes this year: Hastings, Broken Arrow, Omaha South, and Davenport North. Where do people fall? Ethan, you are going to be the one to make sense of it all.
Take that back.
No.
Because what I'm going to say is going to make no sense to a bunch of people, because that's just who I am. All I'm going to say is I don't know, gut feeling. I just watch out for Omaha South. I don't know why their name is just jumping out at me right now when I'm looking at this list of choirs. Watch out for Omaha South. I know they got 6th place at their first competition, but besides that, they have two good top 3 finishes, something around there. I know Broken Arrow is Broken Arrow. They're going to be amazing. Hastings, they kind of got off to a late jump, but they are still Hastings. I think they're coming off 2 wins off my head, something probably around there. It's gonna be a good one. It's kind of funny because I'm looking at the community predictions, and it's probably where I have everyone right now. I think I'm gonna go. You know what? I'm gonna go different. Why not? I'm gonna go Broken Arrow at the 1. An amazing choir. I love seeing their shows. They're so unique, so different. Even being from, well, would you count Oklahoma Midwest? Do you guys count? Yay or nay? Yay or nay?
I have trouble accepting it as Midwest.
It's kind of like grouped in with Texas.
That's what I think. That's what I'm thinking. Texas is South.
Okay, the comments unanimously say nay.
No.
So
okay. I had to throw it in there because, I mean, it's a question I had to ask. However, they're just in that weird little pocket of the country with near no man's land, Missouri, and then Texas. So it's just like you don't have a lot of influence that is like super, super strong and holding you down. Broken Arrow, I don't know how, but they just do their own thing every single time, and it's amazing. It's so unique. No one else really does what they do. I'm gonna go them at the 1 because I can. Hastings at the 2, Omaha South at the 3. I think that they're gonna keep they're gonna go 3 3s in a row. After that, I'm gonna go Bloomington Jeff, Davenport North, and then I'm gonna go Bemidji in the 5, Davenport North at the 6. I think Bemidji can make a little jump here. So that's what I think of the pizza roll land competition. We had Wibberty Bibberty and pizza rolls. So great
week.
We have a great week. Great week coming up.
Yeah. Kortney, do you have anything you want to say?
Yeah, I definitely think it's either going to be Hastings or Broken Arrow in that first spot. I know Broken Arrow is coming for blood. They're one of my groups that I'm super close to, so they're definitely coming for blood right now. I can see the top 3 being Hastings, Broken, and then Omaha. Not necessarily in that order. I think Omaha is going to do 3 for 3, though. And then Bloomington, Jeff, Davenport, and then do whatever. Yeah. There you go.
All right. So I did some research. I went to the Raising Cane's in Arden Hills. So if you're going to Totino and you don't want to wait in line, I had a phenomenal experience at the Raising Cane's in Arden Hills last year. It is just down Interstate 694 from the school. So phenomenal location. Can't recommend it enough. I am shocked and appalled at the amount of Davenport North sleeping that is going on in this podcast right now. Davenport North is a group that I swear we've talked about earlier this year. Maybe we haven't, but Davenport North's record so far, 2nd, 3rd, 1st, and they have done very, very well for themselves just this past weekend at the Cedar Rapids Jefferson Invitational. They won over Iowa City High, which is a very good group. I could potentially see Davenport North challenging for the 3 spot. I don't know if they will take it, but I do not see Davenport North going any lower than 4. I would say that their absolute floor here is 4th place. I have to score 1 for the home team. I have to score 1 for Hastings Riverside Company. There is something about Hastings at Totino. They have won this competition. Let me pull up the exact number of times. They have won this competition 10 different times. They were this close to winning it last year against an absolutely incredible Gretna show. There is just something about Riverside Company at Totino that clicks. We have a comment from the real CLP that says Broken Arrow should win. Their band sounds like it's full of professionals. Absolutely insane. Should they win? That is for the judges to decide. Again, like you look at any other 6th place a couple weeks before and you're like, yeah, no, they're absolutely not going to win. Well, the 6th place at Urbandale is very different. I think that they will give Hastings a good run for it. I think that they could maybe even take choreography from Hastings. I don't think they're taking vocals from Hastings. Hastings 1 with vocals, Broken Arrow 2 with choreo. You know what? I'll put Omaha South top 3. I'll continue being a Nebraska apologist. Give me Davenport North at the 4, and then Bemidji versus Bloomington Jefferson. Super interesting. This one has gone back and forth throughout the season. I will give it to Bemidji here, though. I'll take Bemidji at the 5. I'll kind of echo your sentiment, Ethan, and I will put Bloomington Jefferson at the 6. And we will close our show with our first Virginia segment of the year. Virginia had a couple competitions already this year. They had Clover Hill on the 15th and Thomas Dale this past weekend. And they have the Hanover Mechanicsville Festival of Choirs this upcoming weekend. In the large mixed division, we have Cosby Spotlight, Manchester Capital Swing, Midlothian Just for Show, and Atlee Illusion. In medium mix, we have Kecaughton Touch of Jade, Colonial Forge Encore, Clover Hill New Dimensions, Shepherd Hill Fantasy, Thomas Dale Night Scene, and Mills Godwin Debut. In small mixed, Glen Allen Vocal Eclipse. In Friday's divisions, in the large women's division, Cosby, Manchester, and Midlothian. In medium women's, Kecaughton, Clover Hill, Atlee, James River, Thomas Dale, and Shepherd Hill. And in small single gender, both a men's and a women's group from Atlee, as well as Massaponax and Douglas S. Freeman. Just starting off talking about Saturday, We have Cosby versus Manchester in what will be the 1-2 battle of Virginia choirs this year. Both of these choirs have hit rough patches in out-of-state competitions so far. Cosby took it on the chin to Hurricane a couple weeks ago, and Manchester just lost to Martinsburg at Robert C. Byrd. So both of these groups looking for a little bit of in-state redemption here. Middle mixed looking very interesting as well. You have Clover Hill, who probably is the favorite coming into this. You have Shepherd Hill, who is also a very, very small group, at least for medium mixed standards, but again, very technically sound. They are making the trip down from New England. You also have Thomas Dale, who I think should factor into the conversation as well. And in the women's divisions as well, it's just going to be brutal. Cosby versus Manchester, the headlining matchup in large women's, and then medium women's just all over the place. I think James River has the potential to make some noise in that division as well. So kind of instead of providing in-depth analysis, I know that we don't really talk about Virginia a whole ton, so I'll open it up to either of you. Have you heard of either of these groups? I think maybe Cosby a lot of people have heard of, but down the ballot, have we heard of a lot of groups, and what can we really expect out of this?
That's kind of crazy, Will, that we're even saying, have we ever even heard of Clover Hill or Shepherd Hill? We must be just getting old.
Unks like you and I have heard of Clover Hill.
We must be just getting old, because that is just such a tough, when you say that, that's just so tough.
It's a tough scene.
It is tough. However, that tier 2 is going to be fun. I can't wait to hear whoever comes out between Shepherd Hill and Clover Hill. And honestly, Thomas Dale is an amazing choir as well. They're always up there in results that I see. Looking at the mixed division tier 1, and you are right in your sentiment. I think you are right on Cosby and Manchester being the top 2 dogs in that fight. I think Cosby's going to take it. I think them taking vocals off of Hurricane is a huge sign. Hurricane always has amazing vocals. So the fact that Cosby was able to go in, not win, but get a huge caption that it just rocks every score sheet and vocals is going to huge sign. I have Manchester right under them. I'm going to have them in the 2. And then, so I believe the last competition, because doing a little research, I think Cosby and Atlee and Midlothian already went up against each other. So that's kind of already like not set in stone, but they've seen each other. They've been.
I mean, Cosby will be multiple steps ahead of both Midlothian and Atlee.
Yeah, so Manchester's going to be their first real challenge besides Hurricane at their first competition. So I'm just going to wing it. I'm going to go Cosby at the 1 with sweep. 2 is going to be Manchester. These 2, I know they've gone against each other, but I forgot the result. I think it was Atlee. Yeah, I'm going to put Atlee in the 3. I'm going to put Midlothian at the 4. It was wrong. Did they get him? So Atlee.
Midlothian got him.
All right, then I'm going to keep it though, because I don't want to be wrong, and so and like reversing it. So I'm just going to keep it the way it is. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. Is what it is. Tier 2, I'm not even going to put anything on it because I feel like there's a lot of unknowns to me. However, it's just going to be such a dogfight. And honestly, there's just so many. Like, you were reading the list of choirs, and I was like, this is such a fun event. Because then you said like Douglas S. Freeman on Friday. There's just so many choirs and so many divisions that kind of makes my head explode, because I mean they were all big names at least at one point in their region. So yeah, I think it's gonna be a fun competition.
Yeah, it almost feels like California a little bit, where you got 3 mixed divisions, 3 women's divisions. Yeah, Douglas S. Freeman dropping down to small women's this year after director change. Obviously, they've suffered numbers-wise. I hope they haven't suffered too much performance-wise. James River is another group that's only competing on Friday, but they actually brought back their mixed group for the first time in forever this year, and they're doing a couple comps with the mixed group this year. So looking forward to seeing that program grow. Massaponax is another school that just does the women's group. So I got to shout out those schools. You know, they're rather few and far between. Perhaps we should, do a poll of who the best school is, or who the best schools are who only do single gender groups. We know who's going to win that, but second place on down would be very interesting. So, Kortney, anything you want to chime in with here?
I guess y'all are just unks to me because I have not heard of
No.
Like Clover Hill 2016 to 2019 era, like just go watch those shows, man.
Okay.
Just go watch them.
Okay.
Oh my word. Yeah, Yeah,
Shepherd
man.
Hill was always a dog.
It's kind of nuts.
Always a
Clover
dog.
Hill was like back in my day. Clover Hill was
Back
insane.
in my day is crazy.
Yeah, man. Anyways, we got like 2 seconds left in the show. So we're going to cap this off with a quick question from Michael. Who's going to win Solon between Findlay, Piqua, Beaver Creek, and Olentangy rapid fire round? Kortney, go. If you don't want to say anything, just pick a random name.
Finley.
Ethan.
I think Findlay has an opportunity to prove themselves at this competition. However, I'm just going to go Olentangy because why not? You don't get to say their name in the one spot very often. So
it would be Olentangy's first win since 2022. I'm going to go with Beaver Creek. Beaver Creek has won at least one competition for 9 straight seasons. I think they are due to extend that streak to 10. I think they're getting hot at the right time. And it's funny that none of us said who probably the favorite is.
Yeah.
And that's Piqua.
Yeah.
So we're going to, Michael, if you're going, I hope you're going to have fun. With that being said, we are at 1 hour. So we absolutely enjoyed having everybody in the chat and watching us for the show tonight. Have a wonderful show choir Saturday this weekend, whether you are watching or performing or whatnot. Ethan wants to say something.
Maybe two shows next week.
Two shows? Yeah, we did forget to say that. Yeah, 2 shows next week. Surprise, we're doing a Mount Zion preview on Wednesday in addition to Show Choir Nation on Monday. So 2 shows next week. Be on the lookout for that. Kortney, thank you so much for coming on tonight. And for Ethan, I am William. Have a great Show Choir Saturday. See you guys.